Hi guys! Okay, so this is going to be my very informal Q&A video. It's my day off, so no makeup, Star Wars shirt, just kind of chilling, ready to answer the questions that you guys have supplied for me. I'll try to get it, snappy, hopefully, so it won't be a very long video. But let's just get right into it. Question number 1 is, are you going to have a water birth? And the short answer to that is yes. But the longer answer to that is if I'm allowed to, to have a water birth, everything has to be going just right, basically. You have to have a very smooth pregnancy. So far, I'm allowed to have one, but, fingers crossed, positive thoughts that it will happen, because, I've had it in my mind for pretty much years. I never expected that it would be so soon. I kind of thought I would be, having a baby in, 4 years when I was 27 or something, but things happen. But I've always thought that, water births were beautiful, and I watched a lot of documentaries about midwives and doing things, as naturally as possible, so that's just kind of the plan, and we'll see what happens. Question number 2 is, will the baby use bottles? So yes, the baby will use bottles. I will be breastfeeding as much as possible. If I am there, then I will be breastfeeding. But since I do plan on going back to work eventually, I will have to pump and use bottles. So he will be, on bottles a little bit, but whenever I'm there, it will definitely be breastfeeding, and I'm really looking forward to that bonding experience. Question number 3 is, what is the baby's name? Which I actually can't answer, I'm sorry, but I have mentioned in a few updates that, I have the name in my mind, and I'm 99% sure that it's going to be his name. I love it, but I'm just going to keep it a secret so that no one can sway my opinion, basically. But yes, I have definitely the middle name, and obviously the last name. The first name, I love it, and I have some backups in case he just does not fit it somehow, but I'm pretty sure that it's gonna work. Question number 4 is kind of a two-part one. It's about if the father of the baby is involved, and will the baby have his last name? So the baby will not have his last name. My son will have my last name, Smith, which is nice because I'm not, positive that my siblings are going to have children, so the name will definitely continue on, though, let's be honest, Smith is going to continue on for a while, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, he will have my last name. As for the father, when it comes to this channel, I really want to talk about my personal life, but I don't really want to talk too much about other people's personal lives, because I don't really have permission, really. So I will say as little as possible while still trying to answer the question. Basically, I was with the father for a long time. We were in love. It wasn't the perfect relationship at all. And when I found out I was pregnant, he, made it clear he was not ready to be a father. He wanted me to get an abortion. We didn't talk really for a while. And then I told him I wasn't going to get an abortion, and we did not talk. It was, one of those deals where this is going to completely separate us. We're no longer in communication. So since then, there has been a little communication with, he wanted to know where I work and stuff like that. I needed to know some information for the baby and stuff, but if he's not going to be involved in the baby's life, then I just don't really see the point. I'm all for him being involved, but if he's not ready, I'm going to be a great mom, and the baby's going to have so much love and so much support from my family that I'm not really too concerned about it. But, obviously, it will be welcome if he wanted to be involved. Question number 5 is, who do I live with now? So I was living in a big city by myself, working, all that, and then when I found out I was pregnant, I was already kind of over living in that city, and so I decided to move back to my hometown. So I now live with my mom and her boyfriend, and that's just the smart decision. I know it's the typical young 23-year-old back with your mom, you don't really want to live with your parents, but it's the smart decision. It would be selfish of me to have stayed there, I think, and be paying, $600 just for rent. I'm saving a lot more money here, and I feel a lot safer not being in a big city, and I'm going to have so much more support and stuff being close to home, so it's been really nice, actually. I've been really loving being back here. The food is great here, and I really trust, places around here, like the hospital and stuff. I know people around here, so I just feel much better about it. Question number 6 is, do I want to have a natural delivery or a C-section? So you'll probably kind of figure it out from the earlier question that I want to have a water birth, so it will be natural if that goes well. My last option is really having a C-section. I'd like to have a water birth. If that can't happen, then I would like to have him on the bed. If that can't happen and there's like really complications, then of course I will not hesitate to have a C-section, but it's not, you know, anything I have in mind. Question number 7 is, which YouTube videos or channels do you recommend for expecting mothers? I'm not really sure. This one's so tricky because I really just found it comforting when I found out that I was expecting to follow people that are maybe a little bit ahead of me by a month or two, maybe more, and also a lot of people who are like at the same time as me, just because you want to know what you're going to get into, and then you also want to feel like you have a community of people who are also at the exact same point that you are. So I would just like search that in the search bar. As for me, 2 of the people that I found the most helpful are both actually named Micah. One of them has a 3-month-old baby girl now, and one of them has a 5-month-old baby boy. And I will just link them down below in case you want to check them out. But yeah, I found them very upbeat and helpful, and it's nice to see what your path is going to look like, probably. The next question is probably the most asked question, and I'm sorry that the question is going to be a little bit diluted because, again, it's about someone else. So the question is about Drew, my friend from the other state, and like what happened with him flying over here. So obviously this is his personal life, and I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but basically a few weeks before I got to that goal of like the money I wanted to get for him to fly here and get the ticket, or at least, you know, plan things out, he talked to me because he'd been not talking to me for, you know, a few days, which was weird because we talk all the time, and he basically said, you know, something really big happened in his family, which he actually told me the details about. But it is so hard to talk about this without like giving a lot of information about him, you know. I don't want to like talk about his personal life. But basically he found out that a family member that he didn't know even existed, which is a big deal, and you know, we talked a lot more in depth about what's happening with him and his life, and I completely understand. And you know, a few days later I made the goal of the $200, and I'm just not touching it because although I'm not gonna personally, you know, be waiting around for him to be able to like sort out that part of his life and be able to come here, it would be great, and I hope that basically he can, you know, be sorting out his life, I can be sorting out my life here, and eventually the time actually might be right for us to connect, because right now isn't a good time, but that's just what happens in life. And I talk to him every day still, and we're very supportive and involved with each other's lives. So basically nothing has changed on the front of, you know, how much love I have for him and how supportive I am for him, and him being supportive for me, but the timing isn't right, and I'm not going to be, you know, touching that money at all. I was really super happy and thrilled about everyone being supportive of me and donating, so, you know, I'm definitely not going to use that money for anything other than if he was able to eventually come here. But that's pretty much the update for now. Just focusing on me and the baby and, you know, supporting him in what he needs to do over there. And I probably won't update too much or like answer questions about it in the future, just because it's his life, and I don't know, I just feel so uncomfortable talking about other people's personal business. But, you know, I will answer any personal questions about, you know, just myself. The next question was, what have I learned about pregnancy / motherhood that was, you know, surprising or interesting that I just didn't know before? And there are plenty of things that I just didn't know about. I didn't know that the water doesn't always break, I guess. I just thought it always broke. Some people have even delivered their baby like with it in the sack and everything. I mean, usually they will break your water for you because it definitely helps contractions come along, but I thought that was interesting. And I just recently, through personal experience, found out something else, which is, I knew about colostrum and all that, and I knew that you can like leak and stuff before you give birth. Just the other day, this happened and I was kind of thrown for a loop, not because of it. You know, I expected that maybe it would happen when I was in like the 30-week range, but I previously had these ladies pierced. When I found out I was pregnant, I took the piercings out and they healed up like overnight. So I was like, okay, it's fine. I mean, I know that people who have those piercings can breastfeed, so I was like never concerned about it. But yeah, the colostrum came in the other day and it came out through where the barbells used to be. So I was like just thrown, I guess. I just thought that it was healed up, but I researched it, and if you have that piercing and it's been like healed up for 5 years, literally when you're pregnant, the colostrum can come out of there. So heads up, ladies. Okay, so the last question is, what am I most excited about for motherhood? And again, kind of a diluted answer, but I'm just like so excited for the bond and like how much love. I'm a very like compassionate, empathetic, loving person. You know, I love animals. I'm just like very in tune with that kind of part of me, and to think that I could love even like at a totally higher level than I even can comprehend is very exciting. I'm very jealous and, you know, excited when I see pictures of moms breastfeeding and doing skin to skin and having that total bond. So I'm very excited to meet him, and I can't wait. I can't wait. And I'm so excited for any of you who are having your babies. Congratulations, and I hope that, you know, everything's going smoothly. So thanks for the questions, and I will get back to you guys next week for my 32-week pregnancy update. Bye!